Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your host, Kim Wanup. I'm your sick host, Kim Wanup, because Santa was good enough to bring my whole family colds and coughs this year. So the last 5 days have basically been a blur of little runny noses and binging Lost in Space on Netflix. So sorry if my voice is a little off. Is anyone watching Lost in Space on Netflix? I like it. I mean, I binge it because I think the sets are so good. I mean, the production value, I think, of these sets is, I'm kind of fascinated that they're putting so much money into it because I don't find that the story is that good. It's very simple. If you're looking for a simple thing to binge, that's it. It's not, I think every episode it's going to get better. And then it doesn't, but then they lead you to think that the next episode is going to get better. They're good at that, I would say. But we binged that in 2 days. So, yeah, sick with babies is uncool. I got to say that, but we're getting better. It's going to be fine. So Happy New Year to everyone, and thank you again for all your support this year. I'm looking forward to a full 2020 of new episodes. I'm going to try to get better at the social media postings and Facebook updates. I'm really bad at that. I'm sorry. I'm bad at tooting my own horn. All I really do is the email blast, and I hope you're getting that if you want to. If you're not, unsubscribe. I'm totally fine with that. I will not be offended. But I'm really proud of all the interviews we did this year, and I'm so thankful that people have given their time to this. And I'm learning from everyone. And I hope you are too. I can't promise I won't screw up the audio again, but I keep trying. So, So here is part 2 of my interview with set decorator David Smith. And to be honest, the man has so much to say, and it's all gems. All gems. It was really hard to edit this interview. He had a wonderful career in TV and film, and he's just going strong. In this interview, we get into some of his specific projects, like his work on his first film, Shop Girl, how he worked with Nancy Meyers on The Holiday, which I'm sure you might have even watched this holiday season. Working with the same people, the same production designer for 12 projects, which that's a milestone in itself. That's unbelievable. And working on locations for films like The Last Holiday and Vampire's Apprentice. He got his first computer in 2006, I'm not joking, so get ready for that. He's also been working as an additional set decorator on projects like Argo, Gone Girl, Vice, and Unbelievable. So he talks about how to construct the work with the other decorator and dividing up the project. Talks a lot about budgeting and working deals with prop houses and working budget with the producer, which it's a give and take with budgets in our field. I mean, it's tricky because there's variables that sometimes you can't control, like location work or how many days they're going to shoot the sets, and you have to budget for that. And it's real numbers that the producers, need to have. So that's always a tricky thing in our profession. And I hope you enjoy. Let me ask you this. You did 14 films with Bill Arnold.
Right.
You did recently Dirty Grandpa, Lovelace, Little Fockers, Crazy Stupid Love, Shop Girl, and 9 others. I mean, can you talk about working with someone that much? You must hate him.
No, not at all. I first met Bill. He was Janine Openwall's art director, and he did he's from Chicago. Or he worked in Chicago, and from Chicago, he and his wife came out here. But I first met him because we did a pilot in the early 90s of L.A. Law. L.A. Confidential. Mm. And Jay Hart and both Rosemary Brandenburg had recommended me to Bill. And
you're just name dropping other awesome decorators
well,
who recommend you.
well, only because I think that's how we get jobs.
Yeah, it is. It's very important.
And that's one asset of being in the SDSA.
Yes,
is that you got to know people, and people,
That's how I met you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we don't really often work together as decorators. It's beginning to happen a little bit more now, which is good. But anyway, so I met Bill and we did a pilot, and we hit it off. And then I think we might have done one other pilot, and then we did the first film that we did together was Shop Girl,
which I love.
Which was a fabulous experience.
I love Shop Girl. I love Steve Martin.
Really?
Was it good? Was it just fun? Was it?
It was really interesting because Steve Martin was producer on that, as well as having written the novella, and based on his real life. But I think he was very compartmentalized while he was doing this, and so he was the actor. We saw none of his other hats being worn during this. And we had a really interesting director by the name of Anand Tucker. And it was nice. It was just a really nice experience in town.
That's nice.
And, the story was written for Sachs, and Sachs didn't want to play ball. Neiman Marcus didn't want to. It was written for Neiman Marcus because she worked at the glove counter at Neiman Marcus, theoretically, in this story. And Neiman didn't want to play, and so we ended up shooting at Saks. And we took over the men's department, and we turned that into the gowns area and where the shop counter was.
How long was that shoot? Do you remember?
Oh, it was fairly short at the time. It was maybe 30 days, 35 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not a huge budget.
Practical, like many locations, just changing over.
Yeah, we built the tour bus. We did the cabin or the sleeping area of that, but most of it was location work. Yeah.
That's fun. So that was your first.
That was my first movie, and then the next movie that I at that time I had done a TV show, and it was shutting down, and I bought one of the Apple computers on that, and I bought a little orange clamshell. And so I had that. It was the first time that I had a computer. And when we finished Shop Girl, he said to me, our next movie, which is good to hear from a designer, our next movie, you got to get a better computer. So the next movie that we did was a movie called Last Holiday, Queen Latifah, and it ended up shooting for 20 some odd days in New Orleans, and then we went to the Czech Republic. And the show had originally been written, it was an adaptation of another movie, and this script had been written for East LA and Switzerland. And so because of tax credits, we did it here. We went to New Orleans for LA and changed the location to LA, and then we went to the Czech Republic. And that was great fun and a good time.
You can't shoot in LA.
No. But I got a new computer.
There you go.
and I got a smartphone. I got a new phone, and I got a digital camera.
Well, I'm looking at it. It was 2006.
Yeah.
You were really.
I was slow.
You were getting.
I was slow.
Were you still using Polaroids? What were you doing?
No, I 1 hour photo. 1 hour photo.
Oh my God.
I know, and then half hour photo.
And then it would be like print everything out here, and you go through ink cartridges like a couple dozen a day. It would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I know I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna ask about the holiday, but I just want to ask you about the staircase murders.
Oh.
I was obsessed with that documentary. I watched it like 3 times, and all of the little updates and everything. So did you get to meet Michael?
No, he was in prison when we did that.
He was in and out so much. I didn't know if he had any sort of like input or anything.
No. In fact, I think they walked on a little bit of eggshells. I saw the documentary and I thought, why are we going to do a dramatized version of it? Because the documentary is pretty scary and really good. But our staircase murders happened a few months after Katrina. And so we went to New Orleans to save money and to make the money go further because of the tax credit. And it was it was a Lifetime movie of the week. It was tight. It was hard. It was really hard because New Orleans doesn't have any prop houses. I didn't have any at that time at all. Yeah. There were a couple of little ones, and it was pretty depressed, I would say. Well, yeah. The hotels, there was still, could see high water marks, and wow. It was nice to be there to put money back into the economy, but it was hard. Court furniture got me through it, and we were able to do, our period work was not great. I mean, I'm sure it looks pretty horrible now.
I just saw it and then looked it up and thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you think he did it?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I do.
I think he snapped.
I do. I
think she saw stuff on his computer and although I really like the hawk. Do you know there's a not a method, a thought or whatever, a theory that she was out by the pool drinking and a hawk came down and got her in the head. And if you look, like, of course, they do like this reenaction of like a hawk's foot, and it looks exactly like what was on her head. But it doesn't make any sense that there's no blood. There was like 2 blocks of blood out there or something. All the blood's in the staircase, so it doesn't really make sense that this hawk got her by the pool. I don't know.
Right.
But I still follow it. I still think, because I think he's in jail now again, but he was out for a long time.
I think he got out for a while.
Yeah. His lawyer gave up on him finally.
The first wife was that was also.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was also a little like, maybe too coincidental. Who knows?
Think of a different way to kill these women except for staircases and pools of blood that you have nothing to do with. Yeah. But it was sad with the kids and all.
Yeah.
But I really loved it. I was like, oh man, I gotta watch that movie now to see.
It's really weird when you do something that's really based on truth, and you can look up some of that. It's really crazy.
I worked on the film Wonderland, about the Wonderland.
Oh yeah.
And that was like, I had to go and make copies of the crime scene photos at Kinko's. And
that's scary.
It was awful, and I still have those burned into my memory. It's awful.
Yeah.
Those type of like things, happy things are better to
do.
Yeah. And then you were again in New Orleans for Cirque du Freak, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Those sets are gorgeous. That is a gorgeous movie. I think I love it. I think it's such.
I had such an incredible time doing that movie.
Yeah.
We were very lucky. Bill had not been available for it because we had done a movie called Synergy, which turned out to then be released as In Good Company. And we liked working with Paul Weitz a lot, and really thought that he's incredibly talented. And so Bill knew about Cirque du Freak, but he was not available to do it. So it geared up with another production designer, and they started to prep it here in town, and they were going to shoot it in town. And then for some reason, something happened about the money not being able to go far enough, and they decided they were going to move it to New Orleans.
Worked out for you.
And Bill and I were working at that time on a movie called Nowhere Land. Which got released as Imagine That.
Imagine That.
And so he went down and met the producers. Some of the people that we knew from, amazingly enough, one of the producers had been with us on Shop Girl, I think. and some of them had been around for In Good Company, and they offered the job to Bill because the production designer in town didn't want to go to New Orleans, and Bill took it, and I don't know if they'd had hired a set decorator to begin in town or not, but anyway, he came back, and we had a couple more weeks of finishing Imagine That, and he spoke with the producers, and they said, you should go do this because, we're in our last set, and we're on the lot here at Paramount, and go do that. And
did you have to bring a lot of dressing with you?
Well, the thought was that I would definitely take things with me
Right.
to New Orleans. So I got hired. I finished Nowhere Land. Bill went to New Orleans. I went down there very briefly for a few days, and then I came back to LA and finished Nowhere Land and wrapped. And I thought, I'll never find everything in New Orleans.
Right.
So I spent a week here after Nowhere Land. I spent Imagine That. I spent a week in town, and I went around to see what was available. And everything that I thought that I would like to have was tagged by another show.
I think I talked to you at that time because you were going to Winnie at LA Circus, right?
Right.
And I think, I don't remember what, but I just remember talking with you then and being like, oh my God, I'm talking to David Smith. Okay. All right, calm down. So I don't know if it was something that we both wanted or something, but I remember talking to you about LA Circus or something about like all of that. But.
The serendipity I speak of all the time. But if there's one show that's gearing up, there's always one or two other shows hot on the heels that need exactly the same thing.
Right now, can't find red chairs.
Yeah.
High school drama after high school drama has red chairs out for some reason. It's
Craziness.
We're all red. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sucks. But yeah.
So, Cirque du Freak. I loved working on it. It was very operatic in feel, and it was very theatrical. And I feel like for me, it's the movie that the movie that I've done that I feel that I've put a lot of myself in because there are a lot of my personal likes and dislikes in it, and also it is sort of like a combination or culmination of my various work experiences and likes. And also from LA, I got to take 2 drapery people with me to New Orleans. I took a lead man, I took a buyer, and I.
You do that?
Yeah,
2009?
and I took several guys as gang bosses. I took 8 people. Eight
like
people.
Doing a writer's strike.
It was
right?
before, just right before the. Well, at the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
People were available.
Yeah. Well, they were available, and at that time, it was a little hard to find people in New Orleans who were.
It wasn't that deep.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
I think it was just starting then that people were like going.
Yeah.
With the tax credits and everything.
And what was great fun is that indeed, the premise of the movie was that it was a traveling freak show, and so all of the habitats were theoretically on truck beds or could be folded up or pulled by trailers or whatever, and it was mobile. And they were pretty elaborate, and they were great fun, and it was terrific.
It's so vivid.
It was great. I don't think we saw a lot of it in the movie, unfortunately. It's shot a little too tight.
I do think of like drapery, like all of the
lots of drapery.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. I used to have a huge reputation for drapery.
I think you still do.
and of course, unfortunately, drapery means money,
Oh, yes.
But yeah, no, I loved Cirque du Freak.
Yeah.
I love it.
And now, let me ask you, so that was like the 4th or 5th time you had worked with him? I mean, after working with because I don't know, I've worked with designers again and again, but not on films. But do you still have to even talk about sex
Oh,
at
yeah.
that point?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
and know
and
the direction he's going to go. Is it great to have that?
in fact, I had lunch with Bill last week, and I said I want to do one more movie. You know, I really want to do something with you. And of course we got out of sync when I got ill, and I couldn't travel. And anyway, I'm fine now, and hopefully something will come along and will work. But he's been doing a lot of work in Canada, and it makes it a little difficult. But I think what happened was in our relationship, we've never had any frustration with each other that I can tell. We've never had an argument as such.
That's great. Even I argue with Jim, who's the nicest man.
I mean,
what? No, I'm not doing that.
well, there's some talk back every now and then about, are you sure you want to go that way?
Yeah, no. You didn't really mean that, right? I didn't get it, so I hope you didn't mean it.
But I just think we're pretty respectful about each other, and I know that his personal likes are a little different than mine, so we sort of temper each other very nicely. I tend to do things a little bit more cluttered than he would sometimes do them, and so sometimes there's a little bit of tension, a nice tension about.
Yeah.
Can we pull some of this out? Can we put, You
need that to edit each other.
Right.
And I think when you have a designer that you're in sync with, you're not really in sync with them. You're really just bouncing off of each other. And I always say, look, I thought of 98% of the things, and you came in with the other 2 that I forgot. I can't think of everything.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? I got 50%, and you got, it's whatever it is. I need a designer who's going to collaborate and edit with me. And I enjoy that.
Absolutely.
I enjoy notes.
Yeah. I think I like the collaborative effort.
Yes.
And I think with us, I think we're very collaborative, Bill and I, and we know
successfully worked.
Yeah. I mean, I think and
I keep looking at it. It keeps going on
and
on.
Crazy Stupid Love was part of that, which was a really just an incredible experience. One of the nicest. That and In Good Company were 2 of the nicest experiences working on a movie.
And you did the period piece, Lovelace.
I did.
How was that? What research were you doing for that, David?
Well, I had actually seen the film as a young man.
Oh my God, that's great.
And I knew a little bit about
New York, Times Square.
I knew a little bit about that after I moved to New York. But again, there was an incredible documentary, and I thought, what are we going to do? Because
I didn't know it was. I didn't know. I haven't seen
there's I think it's called Inside Deep Throat.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but now I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a really good documentary. That was my really first low budget movie, and I think really my only one.
It took how long to get a low budget movie, David? I mean.
Well, I mean this was when the tier system had begun to come in,
Right.
and so this was, I think, like tier 1.
Tier 1, yeah.
So it was just under 10 million. Mm-hmm. It was bloody hard. Bloody hard. And Bill came up with...
That means your budget was like 20 grand or something, I mean, percentage-wise.
It was low. It was really low.
50
and we did 99% of that movie we did on location and...
in LA?
In Long Beach.
Long Beach.
And we took over a motel, and we built some sets inside the motel, and we worked in the area around the motel. I think we shot the whole thing in less than 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It was very quick. It was really hard. It was hard. It was hard, and it's very hard if you have to go to Long Beach. You're doing a period show, and you can't come back and do 2 round trips with the truck.
No, I'm in Long Beach all week. It's my whole day.
And we only had 1 truck, and it was hard.
No,
and it was hard to get the producers to. The accountant. We had worked with the accountant on a couple of other movies.
That's always good.
Paul White's movies, and he
Familiar
knew us.
faces in accounting
Yeah,
is always good.
really good.
Well, if they're happy to see you.
Really good. You know, budgets, doing low budget is hard. And for me, it's hard not to spend money and not to do things really right when you know it.
Yes.
I've gotten better about asking for favors or, you know, trying to make package deals, because I didn't do any of that until fairly recently.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that a lot of people used to do that. I think it was just, when I came into the business, there were producers who knew how much it was going to cost, and so you just did it.
Right.
My first movie in New York, I never had a budget. The producer would come and say, we spent too much on that last set, we need to pull back here on this, and everybody did that.
I take it as a show, when you have it, I spend it, and
Right.
and I save up favors, and if you need to charge this and that, I get it, but I'm going to ask you for favors later. So I always try to work it like that. I don't ask for favors if I don't need them.
No.
I know that there's some people who love to get a deal. I don't do that.
No,
because I don't think it helps our business.
I was never a barterer in shops or any of that, but where I do ask for favors, and I have good relationships with most of the vendors. I would say 99% of them. I have really good relationships, and so I will then, you know, say, can we have a grace day? You know, or can you can you let me slide on this by a day or whatever? A little bit more time, because I think that's easier to ask for. But I don't, you know, but I can't say, can you give this to me for half the price for 2 weeks instead of 1 week?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No.
I just
feel like it's not my money anyway. This is what it costs.
Yeah.
Like when you're budgeting something, and I'm gonna have to like the set. It's 3 weeks. I have to hold it for 3 weeks.
Right.
Now that's why that set costs so much. That's not my problem that you're shooting there for 8 days, and I got to dress it for 2 days and take it down for 2 days. It's 3 weeks. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And there are producers sometimes like, can you get us a deal? And I'm like, I can ask, but I make that judgment too of like, is it worth asking for, or should I wait to ask for something else when this producer doesn't even know that I'm asking for it, and then saving it for that? And I think it's part of the job that we have of like budgeting and dealing with vendors and keeping everyone happy.
Well, and managing the money.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, and sometimes it isn't about getting the best deal at this house. It's again about the goodwill that you have with people. Or I know it's going to be easier to do it, to spend this much money instead of renting something for 3 weeks. I can go here and buy half of it, you know, or whatever. If you have the time. You know, I think each job, you never know. You mentioned Cirque du Freak. I ended up getting 99% of everything in New Orleans.
Oh.
It was really crazy. I had some things built in L.A. Because we had met a shop here in town on the holiday, and I used them to do some design work for me, and they shipped furniture to me. But there was a shop called Gordon's in New Orleans at the time, and they were doing all these imports, and they happened to fit for us. And Eva Fershine was my buyer. I took her with me, and we went, and we came back with like a 12-foot long receipt of all the stuff that we had bought at the store. It was incredible. It was really incredible.
Fun.
It was great fun.
It really is fun spending other people's money.
It is. It is. It definitely is.
It is. Now you mentioned the holiday.
Yes.
Now you came onto that film. Was it during prep or during shooting? Was it?
I came on because, okay, the night before, I got a call. I had gone to an SDSA meeting, and Cindy Carr, who did part of the holiday in Los Angeles, she was at the meeting. I had worked with John Huttman on a series, and I wanted to do. I got an interview for What Women Want to take over for Rosemary Brandenburg, and I couldn't get approved because I didn't have any movie experience, big enough movies. to work on What Women Want. And then so John said to me, if you really want to do features, you just have to hold out for one and wait till it comes your way. And so when he said this to me on What Women Want, and then I go for a movie interview with another designer, and it's a low budget movie, and he asked me if I would like to do it, and I said, he said, if all things work out, would you want to do it? And I said yes. I got in my car and I got a telephone call from John Hutman, and he said to me, would you consider doing a TV series with me? And I thought, you just told me to hold out for a movie. And so anyway, I did a series with him called The Guardian, which Jan Pascal had done the pilot of, and then I took over the series. And we didn't keep much. They hadn't built anything very much for the pilot. So I did that with him. So I'd heard about the holiday, and I'd heard that it was happening, and that Cindy was very busy, and she and Ellen Brill and I talked at a meeting, a general membership meeting of the SDSA, which was held at Lawrence of La Brea. And I got home, and Ellen called me, and she said that Cindy had asked her to come in and help her do a set for the holiday. And Ellen couldn't do it, so she said, I gave your name to Cindy. And Cindy called me and asked me if I would come. They had pulled up Jude Law's house in Los Angeles, in Los Feliz. And because of the shooting schedule, they were shooting the New Year's scene early. Cute. And Cindy didn't have time to be there and to get the house ready on stage as well. So I went, and we shot this, and then they were going to shut down, and then they were going to move to the UK, and they would shoot in England, and then they would come back here after the first of the year. So I was going to work 1 to 2 weeks is how it came. And unfortunately, they decided to make a change. It was not a pleasant situation, and John asked me if I would stay, and the producers asked me if I would stay, and I would take over the movie, and I said yes. And I did not know that when I came to work with Cindy.
Right.
Anyway, she had done an incredible job, but Nancy's movies are very much appreciated for the design and the look.
Yes.
And it's not
It's
always
a perfect little world that she creates.
And it's not always the easiest thing to do, to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, about balancing labor, obviously manpower, materials, time, money. Yeah. And so, anyway, so Cindy had done the living room and the kitchen of the holiday and the front hall. And they had shot that, and she had shot.
Cottage? Was it the cottage?
No. This was Cameron Diaz's house. Oh. And anyway, so they went to the and then Jack Black. He was done after he didn't go to the UK. So we shot out everything that he did. And so then while they were in the UK, I took over the movie here, and we were getting together Cameron Diaz's bedroom, and then the plan was that we were going to build the cottage in LA. And then it turned out that some things were coming back from the UK that did not get shot. The restaurant where Cameron and Jude have lunch, we shot that at the.
Got more and more.
Yeah, got more and more. Yeah, and so so they ended up to be 3 credited set decorators: Cindy Carr, myself, and Anna Pinnock. and Anna did the UK
UK.
portion. And then Matt Callahan was a buyer with Cindy, and he did some of the who's the older man? Eli Wallach. He did some of the. I think he had a lot of his hand in the Eli Wallach
When
house.
you do a movie like that, how much input does Nancy Meyer have? I mean, are you showing her everything?
Well, we did 3 or 4 versions of the bedroom before we settled. One of them involved making a Swedish day bed over a 3-day period. One of them involved, the final one involved taking a piece that had been planned for the study and using it in the bedroom. It was my first time to do this, and it was interesting to do. I shouldn't say that, because when I was on the last holiday, I had a crew in the Czech Republic, and I would email them things to do and check on it the next morning and things like that. But this was the first time that I had shot. I had to John and the art directors and the set designers had designed the set, and it had been painted, and the bedroom, and it was to be up first when they came back. And so I did one version of it with input, and I took photos and I sent them to the UK. And I got notes from Nancy, and I was quite astounded by her sense of detail and her eye, because she said to me that she wasn't sure that Cameron would have a nail clipper on the bedside table. And I realized that she had looked at every inch of the photograph. And she has this incredible...
My answer would have been, I do. That's why I put it there. That's how I answer everything.
But
to
you know,
defend myself.
you always do these things because you know somebody who does it, or you do it yourself, or your mother did it. How many times?
We could, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always striving for, look, right here. What's on my nightstand?
Yeah.
What's on a teenage girl's nightstand?
There you go.
I'm constantly looking at what's on people's nightstands. What's on my nightstand? I'm boring. I got it's nothing on there. It's tennis clippers. Yeah. Rats. All that jazz.
So I mean, there were times when it was like rugs got added. You know, the whole seating area is the thing that changed the most in that bedroom. Is that we did 5 different ways, and the art we did 5 different ways, and it's a little daunting.
Yeah,
but
exhausting.
but it's also challenging, because I've never worked for someone who cared so much about the look.
Yeah, so I guess in a sense that you want to figure it out.
Yeah.
I want to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, because sometimes you get producers or directors who it's more just their opinion, and they're just not really thinking.
Right.
I've sat here and I've thought about that toenail clipper. I really want that in there. Where I would respect her enough to think like, oh yeah, we're trying to achieve something here, and she knows what she wants, and
well,
we gotta get it.
She's very smart, and she's a very bright woman, and her mother was an interior designer. She was raised in this world. She has she has great taste, obviously, and I mean, everything looks great.
Yeah.
But it was a little daunting sometimes for her, you know. The producers kept saying to me, "You got to find a way to do this for less money," and it was like, okay, I'll try. So like we were looking at bedding, and so I brought in sheets, and it was like 5 different versions of a beige or an off-white, and I swear to you, she could tell just by looking.
The thread count.
Well, yeah, and the quality. And so the ones that she chose were always the more expensive ones.
Right.
And you know.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What are you going to do? And you need multiple sets if people
Yeah.
are in bed, and a
Yeah.
king size bed is expensive to dress. And anyway, it was hard. It was hard. But I found that we did some incredible sets. We unfortunately there were two or three things that never made the movie. I in my book that I show, Cameron Diaz's bedroom. Had an attached bathroom, and that master bathroom is phenomenal, really phenomenal. And we did the closet where Jimmy Choo
Closets cost so much money.
yeah, Jimmy Choo gave us 40 pairs of shoes. We had Chanel bags. We had. And it was a terrific walk-in closet, and Cameron ended up buying a lot of that and taking it with her.
Oh, good.
And she was terrific. Anyway, it was great, and I just thought that Cindy had done such a good job, and there's a lot of Holly Hunt in the house, and Holly Hunt was pretty expensive, and then 2 years later, Target has knocked off everything that Holly Hunt has, so it's like, but Target is really good. But I have to say, at some point, I was able to bring some things into it. Like in Jude Law's kitchen, we did that after Christmas, and we were somewhere, and Nancy mentioned some china, and I showed her some things, and I have a whole collection in my house of brown and white English transferware platters hanging on the kitchen cabinets, and so I brought in a bunch of brown and white china.
That's how I saved $1.
Yeah,
I brought it in. I'm not even going to charge you for the rental.
Well, I shipped it from Cleveland, but anyway, yeah.
What you bring up a point though that you've done recently. You've worked as an assistant decorator on some projects.
I have.
How does that work? Which I know you're friends usually with whoever the decorator is. I mean,
right.
Everybody's friends with you. So, how does that work though? Are you dividing up sets? Are you saying like I'm only here for a week? I'll help with whatever.
Well, I think in soap opera, I always worked with two other set decorators, or at least one other set decorator. So for me, it wasn't really such a big stretch to work with someone else. Although we usually had our own tasks,
right.
but then you had to pay attention to what someone else was doing.
Funny. It would be funny if you had your own characters.
Yeah.
I only decorate for Erica Kate.
Well, some of that happened, and so as the world turns, at one point, it used to be only that it was like, I want to do this, or I want to follow that character, or I want to do this, and then it got a little tense and political, and then at some point, then we just started to rotate.
Yeah.
Whatever day is your day to come in early, these are your sets that you're going to do,
Nice.
and divide it up that way. Years ago, I had shopped for Casey Fox, I had shopped for a movie called Age of Innocence, I can't do his name, Bob Franco, I think. I think he did that. Anyway, I shopped L.A. and sent things to him, possibly, to use in New York. And then Rosemary Brandenburg, I shopped for her a little bit on What Women Want, or to open a set for her. And then my friend Jan Pascal would call me every now and then for reshoots, or if she got into trouble, she would say, will you come and work with us for a couple of days? So the first time that I really worked with any sort of responsibility and more than a week was on Argo. And I went in and helped Jan on Argo. And I did, I didn't shop a lot of it. Some of it I shopped, but I did the airport, the Tehran airport.
Yeah.
And which was shot in Ontario at the airport there.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a big duty-free shop that got smashed up, but it never made the movie. And then some offices, and then I put together the first pass at the house where they were all held, and that worked out really well. And then with Jan, I also did.
Was that a set or a location?
Which one?
Where they were
the house.
held?
It was a house in Hancock Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. which was a big dress, except for the kitchen. The kitchen was pretty much found, and which was one of those lucky finds in 1960s.
That's really good.
70s kitchen.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And then I did on Gone Girl. I worked with Doug Milwatt, and for that I did the Missouri portion of it, and then I came back here and helped him for a few weeks in town.
So you shopped. Let's just say you shopped the Missouri sets somewhat here and
No.
bought stuff there, or just
We actually the Missouri sets were supposed to be not terribly involved. There was the bar, which Doug had done. I don't think we took anything from here. I think we shopped it there. And then there's the
so you mostly bought
the
stuff,
operations. Yes,
or
the
rented from some furniture stores.
Yeah,
that
we
was
mostly
not
bought.
bad. Yeah.
Then we did. So we were planning to do the bar, and the exterior of the house, of the Ben Affleck and Rosamund's house, and we were going to do the. It was planned to do the search.
The shed.
Well, the shed, and do the hotel where the search.
Right.
Everybody came and gathered for that, and then we got on the bus. It was a 2 or 3 day tech scout, and we got on the bus one day, and they said there might be a change, and we're going to go by and look at a house. And so we pull up to this house, and it's quite spectacular, and it's architecture is similar to Frank Lloyd Wright, but somebody who was a great fan of his. And this family had built the house there and in Missouri, in Cape Girardeau, and we ended up doing the living room and the kitchen and the study of the house.
Almost the first floor.
Yeah, the first floor.
Was
We did not do the bedroom,
and then
and that came
the
necessary because of, I think, Neil Patrick Harris's availability. So
tying that all in.
yeah, so Doug and I spent a couple of weeks in Missouri. I remember we drove into St. Louis, which was about an hour and a half away from Cape Girardeau, and we bought sofas, and we bought two $10,000 sofas, and then they came
truck.
and then
some Bernie pads.
they came in town in time, and then I found somebody in Cape Girardeau who reupholstered them for us in a fabric, because it was David Fincher, and David Fincher is a little like working with Nancy Meyers in that he too cares about the look, and things are done very specifically to his orderly. Yeah. But again,
it takes me out of it though. It takes, because I especially in House of Cards. I mean, I know that the seasons went on and it's not him doing every episode, but they kept with that, and it distracted me. Mostly because I'm analyzing their White House sets, because I was on Veep at the time. But it takes me out of it, that orderliness sometimes. And maybe because
I just found that I liked House of Cards. I thought it really looked good.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it took me out of it that there has to be a matching lamp on every single set of every. I think they're beautiful lamps. I love it, but it takes me out of it.
I think the big difference between Doug did the first first half of the first season of House of Cards.
Look at that, all the way around.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, that's why he worked with Fincher then.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, but I think also part of that is, one never knows unless you're specifically there whose idea it is to do what. But there is a certain amount of a controlled palette.
Yeah.
And not any pattern as such. And so that it was a little stylized for me. That it was.
You're talking House of Cards or
House of Cards.
House of Cards, yes.
House of Cards.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You know, and I think by the end of the show that they were getting into more pattern. That was the big change that happened.
And lighter.
Yeah.
It wasn't as dark and moody, I thought.
Yeah. Then the next movie that I did with Jan Pascal was I came in because she was doing Vice.
Mm-hmm. I love that
And
movie.
it was, at that point, it was 187 sets in 50 days.
Yeah.
And the White House, obviously, under 5 different administrations, and she realized that she wasn't going to be able to do it all herself. So I came in and I worked for about 7-8 weeks, 9 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I worked 9 weeks. I started when they began shooting, and I finished the week before they ended shooting.
Because they were doing like 2 sets a day.
2 to 3 sets on average.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it started out then that the plan was originally that I was going to do all the stage work and she was going to do all the locations. And I was going to be at Sony.
That was going to be our deal.
Yeah. So within the first couple of days, all of a sudden I found myself out in Ventura County, you know, and up the 5, and I was doing this ranch, and she was sending stuff out, and I was putting it together and sending her photos. And then bit by bit, I began to shop a little bit and add to the mix. And then I did do the first round of all the stage work at Sony, which was great fun. But she did the White House. She did all the White Houses.
It's so hard.
It's hard.
It's
hard.
so exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking this, like, oh, we're in a classroom for 4 days. We get a little breather there. And it was like, I haven't stopped. I'm still holding my breath. Like, we're still going, like, every day. There's just, you don't get a break. I can't imagine on a film for every, like, 2 to 3 sets a day. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
That designer, though, Patrice Vermette, is really wonderful to work with. And he's just for somebody doing a lot of historically accurate and he found a way to make it. He found a lot to make it creative.
And all shot in LA?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I think they went to Washington very briefly at the end for some little road work. But
now you just last year did Unbelievable.
It did.
And it's unbelievable that was all LA. That is just a gorgeous setting. Like, it just, to me, was, I didn't notice the sets in a sense that they were so in their character and so perfectly surrounding this character that, I don't know. I think there's some things you watch and you don't think about the sets, and I think that's a huge compliment.
No, and I used to say when we were in theater that, you know, you go out of a show and you can hum the tunes, but you can't really hum the set.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that our work is to support.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think one should actually ever really go away talking about the sets, and unless it's
unless they are a character.
Yeah, exactly. But Unbelievable, again, I had done reshoots with Julie Berghoff, the production designer, and on 2 movies, and Sophie Neudorfer was the set decorator with her on those, and Sophie wasn't available to do the reshoots. And so when they geared up Unbelievable, in the first 3 episodes, there was pretty close to 90 sets.
Yeah.
And Julie realized that because as you know now, episodic is, a lot of the streaming episodics especially are broken up into blocks.
Yeah.
And
you're prepping and shooting, and then you take like a week off.
Yes.
That type of block.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember if we took weeks off on Unbelievable or not. I don't think so, but maybe we did. But anyway, Sophie did the first 3 episodes. I did the middle 3 episodes, and then she did the end of the show. And we were 2 separate entities. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any crossover work with her, nor she with me.
You had your own lead man?
Nope. one lead man, one crew. We each had I had one buyer, she had two, and then we each had a coordinator, and who followed the block, and I think my 3 episodes had originally somewhere around 66 sets or something like that, and then that dropped down to maybe 47. But in the first 4 episodes, there were 4 different police departments.
Yeah.
And they built 2 on stage. And Julie's a really bold designer, really, really bold. I don't know.
That one with the huge glass windows, was that a
Set.
set?
Set.
Wow.
At Raleigh.
Oh,
At Raleigh.
Wow. Beautiful.
And some DPs and cameramen and lighting people complain about not being able to shoot a trans-light.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's scary because it could look really bad.
Yeah, but I just think an unbelievable, especially that last scene in the show with
the 2 of them in the conference room.
Yeah, on the phone.
Oh, right.
And then the whole Colorado psych.
Yeah.
Translite is right there out the windows, and I just think looks pretty damn good to me. It's pretty believable.
It looks good. It's super believable. I really thought it was all location work.
Yeah.
Especially like outside of the apartments, like the greenery and everything. Really well done. Really well done.
That apartment was up in I think
like when she's doing the stakeout outside of like the chick's apartment.
Yeah, that was in the valley.
Wow.
And then the Marie's apartment was up in, I think it might have been Norwalk, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, it was a complex there, and they covered over the pool with plywood and platforms, and then brought in sod and grass and trees and enormous trees. And
Yeah, because they don't have pools like we do usually.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty seamless production, as you say, because I don't think it's about the sets by any means, but I think what you do see of the sets all look really, really good.
And they're lit well.
They're lit well,
which is super important, as we know.
And there were 3 different DPs for the 3 different blocks.
Oh.
Which is kind of bizarre.
I didn't, because sometimes
sometimes.
I feel like I can tell.
I know.
This season, new DP. Everyone's on fire.
Yep.
Sets are on fire.
Yeah.
And I look at them and I'm kind of right sometimes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That they all had the same tone and that's great.
Yeah.
So that was a good experience.
It was a really good experience. Yeah. Really good experience.
I don't know. I have so many other questions, but I've talked to you for 2 hours.
I'm sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. Are you kidding? I could talk to you all day. I have. I've talked to you for 2 hours.
Yeah, you have.
Unbelievable. Good place? You had fun on Good Place?
I told you I had a good place. I had a good time on the Good Place.
It's fun.
And really and truly, I did a couple of sets on that show that I really loved, and I don't have any pictures of one of them.
Oh,
but
which one? Cheaty's apartment?
No, I had some pictures of Cheaty's apartment. Cheaty's apartment, I loved doing. I loved that. I really, really, really loved that. And I actually found The Good Place a little difficult for me to begin with, and I.
So simple. No.
Well,
it's weird.
To a degree, it was a little like doing soap opera in many ways, because it wasn't laden with character.
Because it is a weird thing, because like I can't give a spoiler away, but I got to do a character's apartment in the last episode, and I thought, man, if I could have done this like last season, and grown in this set with this character,
right?
God, this would have been great.
Yeah.
And so I know what you mean. That's why Cheaty's apartment is fun. Well, I guess I could say it. Oh no, I can't.
No, don't.
No, because it's January. But I can say that on this week's episode, I get to do Cheaty's childhood.
Yes,
home,
I know that. Yeah, and I'm anxious to see that.
Which was fun.
Yeah.
And I took some of the elements from his heavenly or good place apartment and put them in his parents, just an ode to. That's what would have made him comfortable. But that was the few character really that we got to do besides Tahani.
Yeah.
Which was fun, but
Tahani's
so extravagant.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, it was a little like doing, maybe Versailles or something in the Trump Tower or some, it was great fun. Tahani's, though, I thought was really interesting because at first we were trying to match what they had done the previous seasons, and then the decision was that we weren't going to spend that much money.
Right. Always.
Because they really spent a lot of money.
They did. That first season, they really
did. For me saying this, they spent a lot of money. And so finally, I mean, we had talked about Tahani's on that first episode, and I said, this is what it cost, and the producer's eyes really went really wide, and it was like, no way are we going to spend that. And so we ended up with something a little different, and I had fun doing Tahani's, but I really loved Chidi's, and what I tried not to do, because I think you did this very well, and you. Sometimes I think that my work might have been a little too pat and a little too, and what I like about your work on the show is that there are often elements that are unexpected in sets.
Yeah, only because you get that freedom with this show.
And maybe I would have done more of that, but I didn't do it. I don't think I did enough of it. I think mine are a little too perfected.
They were awesome.
Anyway, they were fun. It was really fun.
I didn't shoot that location for Tahani's. When I did Tahani's, we had a different house. So it was my first time going back to that location that they had for the first season, and then you had. Right. Season 2 and 3, we shot a different house for Tahani's. So I also saw how much was spent first to go around. I was like, this is why we didn't go back to this location, because it costs too much. But it looked great. Yeah. And it's first season. You're selling it. You have to do it. There's no turning back. You got to sell it. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I happened to be, just over the weekend, I was moving some photos from iPhoto to Photo. Because in the new upgrade, iPhotos is obsolete. Gone. Yeah. But it caused me to look at some old sets that I've done, and it was a little telling, and I thought, I see a pattern here, and I see a pattern here, and but what's interesting is I have some sets. I have before and afters of locations here and there, and then what it looks like, and then what we did.
I love before and afters.
I do too. I think they're great. And then I have some sets with before actors or without actors, and then I have them with actors. Yeah. And I think what's really amazing is sometimes we forget about what the actors bring, the bodies, the number of people, or the accoutrement that come with actors. And it just makes a whole different...
Well, then it's lit.
Yeah.
Half your pictures, there's no lights on, David. Yeah. We work in the dark.
We used to, on NYPD Blue, we used to run 9 million zip cords and extension cords, and we would have the sets lit when they came in. And I photographed a lot of work on NYPD Blue. I got more pictures of NYPD Blue of anything that I ever did. But on that show, it was like, okay, these are pink light bulbs this time around, or these are amber light bulbs, and because you were just trying to. We did so much. And we did so much on the back lot that we were trying to just make everything look different and individual.
But that's great.
Oh, it's fabulous.
That's fantastic.
Fabulous.
That's like, I can't tell you how many sets I don't have lights. I have like a work light, a ghost light they call it. It's just set up in the middle of the room. The stages for Good Place are the worst stages.
The color.
They have these huge orange vapor lights over
Totally.
top. And I get headaches. I would get headaches like dressing sets in there. When you did Mindy's, I don't know, you must have thought everything was Pepto-Bismol in there. Because It's so bad. The lighting, the house lights that we have to use is so bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
And there's so many sets I never get to see lit till like company arrives an hour before.
No, lighting is so important.
Yeah.
And you know, and it is horrible when you're dressing under those lights because you can't really tell what things look like. And
or lamp shades, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I could do better with that shade. I could find something more interesting. Or like when there's creases in it, you don't know till it's too late. Like,
yeah.
Now, I've been caught like that a bunch of times. I usually always have a lot of shades in the gold room because you get caught.
You do get caught.
And shades get bent really easily.
Yeah. No, I know. They don't travel well.
No.
They don't travel.
It's bad for rentals, really.
And then, of course, either you've gone out and put the shade on the lamp, or the buyer's done that, and then it comes here, and then
you don't remember what shade you remember, and then you gotta look at your pictures, and you're like, why did I choose that?
Yeah.
No.
I know.
Somebody buy me a new shade. When you were going back and looking at photos, did you come up with like a set that you're most proud of, do you think?
I think what I was surprised about, because I have one album that's about 600 photos. But, you know, I go back, anything before basically Shop Girl was shot just on film and not with me and not with a digital camera. So I have tons of photos from my soap opera days of sets that I photographed, and I now know that I need to scan. I need to take, the next time I have a month off or two months off, I need to scan lots.
You're never off.
Oh, well, that's not true. I didn't work all of 2016 except for 5 weeks. But anyway, I want to scan some of those and get some better resolution, because it's really nice when you've got really good resolution.
Yeah.
And I have to say, if you've got the light, shooting with a smartphone, it's really good.
Much better. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Shooting with your, and that's kind of the only time I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of designers will take pictures. They've got time.
Yeah.
Then you gotta beg their designer for his photos at the end, and you're like, "What is this angle of a doorknob? We need to get the room." I don't give a shit. What about my shades?
We all think a little differently. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's important.
But or what, like, favorite project?
Ever? Well, Cirque du Freak was great fun. I loved doing. I have to say, I think I've said this too before. I learned a lot doing NYPD Blue, and we had such a really good support team of skilled craftsmen. We had an incredible paint crew and plasterers, and they did incredible work. And
those walls just had so much aging on them.
Yeah. And it was great fun to see how many times you could turn that back lot into so many different locations, and it was great fun. It was, for me, it was like working back in theater, where because I had my own prop house in the theater, and I had sofas, and I would upholster them, and I would slip cover them, and I would change the look, and I go back through my photos, and over the years I've used this piece of furniture 18 times, or...
I should say, when you walk through a prop house with David Smith, he likes to point out pieces like, I bought that for Shop Girl, I bought that for Vice, I bought that... And do you know how much money they've made off of me renting this out? But it's true.
It's true. It's true.
But that is such a compliment, that you have such great taste that other shows rent your pieces, that you...
they like your babies,
I mean, it's so funny how many intricate parts there are in production, and how everyone preps for everything so differently.
Well,
and we're in our own little world, kind of, and although we straddle other departments, we're still in our own little world.
But we are in our own little world. But it's a world that I think, respectfully, I think we bring a lot to the table, and I think that we think a lot about what we do, and that we are involved in telling the story about visually and specifically about who these people are and what they're doing and what they're going through. And sometimes I think what's really incredible is we get it right a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny to me, when I first started, of like, well, I should probably talk to the actor about this. It's their character's house. Like, shouldn't there be some interaction? And I've found there usually isn't, unless it's like the main character or it's, you know, the person. Then there is input, and half the time you don't want that. but the funny thing is of how much more, a lot of times we get, you know, if it's a movie or whatever, you get like 2 months prep.
Right.
And the actor comes on a week before.
Right.
And so we really do have so much more input and time to think about some of these rooms and how they're going to read without anybody in them, that I always find it a little disappointing that there's not more collaboration between the actors and like the set decorators, just because I feel like it could help more.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, oh, do you want like a candy dispenser in the like a fetish? Sure, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. I know it could go very wrong.
Right.
I know that it could, but I think there's opportunity there that it could go very right. And
for the most part, I've not worked with actors who have a big input in the look of what there'd be an occasional request here and there.
Yeah.
But I love it when an actor comes on and they discover certain things that you've put into the set, and then they decide to they're intuitive enough or spontaneous enough and you know improvisational enough to make it all work.
Yes.
And I remember Ken Watanabe on Cirque du Freak. He was that way with us. He really loved a lot that we put into those sets. So,
and that's the appreciation.
Yeah.
Is there.
Yeah.
Which is always so great. All right, I'm done with you.
Okay.
I can't.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Bye,
much.
Kim.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Thank you. I have so many thank yous. Thank you so much for being just someone who I admire for all of these years.
That's sweet.
You've given me a ton of guidance, especially through the SDSA, and being so proud of that organization and helping me so much in this last year in my slight presidency that I've tried to jump in, where you've really done, just an incredible job. Thank you so much. You are so kind to me and my boys. I love that. And I love you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. But I think you've done a great job for the SDSA. I really think that you're really good. I like your energy. And our lives have become entwined.
I know.
And it's nice.
And who
it's
knew?
nice. And who knew? And who knew that we had all these things in common?
I know.
Paul Leeds and Kim Delaney and
Kim Delaney and Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
Now that's a party. You get the 5 of us in the room. There's a party.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you
all
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.
As I said, David and I have become very close in the past couple of years, and I'm a better decorator for it. He's been a great influence, a great teacher, and a great decorator, and genuinely a nice person. I really could talk to him all day. He's got such great stories. He's so funny. I love his voice. I'm all in. So I hope that you got some information out of that, especially about his process. So coming up next, I have an episode about The Good Place with production designer Ian Phillips, art director Adam Rao, and graphic designer Graham Radcliffe. And we're going to talk about the episode that we have nominated for our Art Directors Guild Award. I hope that you've checked out previous episodes with Ian and Adam, and I'm excited for you to hear what Graham has to say about the graphics on the episode and in the show in general. He's the guy designing all those little Easter eggs that you superfans love to find. So I hope get ready for that, because that'll be the first episode of the new year. Again, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you got an earful. Decorating Pages is sponsored by Stogie Floaty, luxury pool floats. Float 'em if you got 'em. Visit stogiefloaty.com.
Welcome to Pro Tips for the Pros, brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads. In this series, we'll explore essential advice for professional contractors to deliver outstanding renovation results. Let's dive in. Clear communication is key to a successful renovation. Keep the customer informed at every stage of the project. addressing any concerns or questions promptly to maintain trust and satisfaction. Thank you for joining us for this pro tip on planning thorough renovations. Stay tuned for more expert advice brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads.
A lot of people tolerate ordinary. Ordinary bathrooms, kitchens, entryways. Well, not on your watch. If you're a pro, you've got a new partner in town. Floor & Decor. From tile to wood to stone, Floor & Decor has more styles and job lot quantities of Schluter, Mapei, Laticrete, and other brands pros trust. Come see a whole new way to wow with Floor & Decor. Coming soon to Bailey's Crossroads.